Okay, for the last few years, we've all been pretty obsessed with AI, right? But what if I told you that everything we've seen so far, that's just the warm-up act? We are on the verge of a massive, monumental shift in how we solve problems, and I mean everything. Let's get into it. So I want you to really think about this for a second. What if an AI could truly think? I'm not talking about just mimicking language or predicting the next word in a sentence. I mean, what if it could actually reason through a super complex problem, from the ground up? Yeah, we've all seen this, right? The AI we use today is crazy fast. It's almost instinctive. It's basically a probability machine making a really, really good guess. Think of it like an AI's gut reaction. That's what we've been dealing with. But that era, it's pretty much over. Something fundamental has changed. We are now entering a brand new phase. It's the era of reasoning. And this is where AI actually thinks before it speaks. So you might be asking, why now? What's the big deal? Well, to really get a handle on this new world, we first have to look at why the old one, why it just couldn't keep up anymore. For 60 years, computing had one simple, predictable rule: Moore's Law. You know the drill. Everything got faster and cheaper every year and a half or so. But that law, it's broken. It's done. The new law of the land, the only way forward, is something called accelerated computing. This is all about using specialized gear to tackle really specific, complex problems way, way more efficiently. And this is the perfect way to picture it. We've literally hit a brick wall. I mean, the laws of physics have finally caught up. You just can't keep throwing more power at a normal CPU and hope for a miracle. We've hit the absolute limits of heat, of energy, and of silicon itself. The old way of doing things, it's over. Okay, so with that old era in the rearview mirror, a totally new kind of intelligence is starting to emerge. So let's get right to the heart of it. What does this whole shift from chat to reasoning actually mean? So this is the AI we all know and use. You can call it System 1 thinking. It's super fast, it's predictive, and it's all based on patterns it's already seen. Now, don't get me wrong, it's incredibly powerful, but at the end of the day, it's still just making a guess, even if it's a really, really good one. And this is the revolution. This is System 2 thinking. This is a whole different ballgame. It's a deliberate, multi-step process. The AI actually ponders. It weighs different options, different logical paths. It can even check its own work for mistakes before it spits out an answer. So you see, it's not just guessing anymore. It's actually problem solving. So how does this actually work? Well, it's pretty fascinating. When you give one of these reasoning AIs a tough problem, it kicks off what's called a chain of thought. First, it deconstructs the problem into smaller pieces. Then it explores, thousands of different ways to solve it. And here's the kicker. It realizes when it's gone down a wrong path and corrects itself, all before pulling it all together for the final answer. This is the crucial takeaway. Right here, we've found a totally new way to scale intelligence. It's not just about feeding it more and more data anymore. Now we can literally trade compute time for smarts. The more time we give the model to just think about a problem, the better and smarter the answer gets. It's a total game changer. But, a technology this massive, it isn't just about the code and the silicon. To build something like this, you need a whole new kind of engine. And maybe even more important than that, you need a very specific mindset, a certain character. And that engine for this reasoning era, it's here. It's called the Blackwell platform. And look, this isn't just another chip. This is a full-on supercomputer designed from the ground up for one purpose: to let these AI models think at a scale that was, until now, completely impossible. The character behind the engine is just as important as the engine itself. And this quote from NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, man, it just says it all. It's about this relentless drive for excellence that comes from a place of real humility. It's that belief that no job is beneath you if you're trying to build something truly great, something that's going to last. And let's be clear, none of this was a sure thing, not by a long shot. NVIDIA was basically forged in fire. At one point, they were just 30 days away from going bankrupt. Then they got laughed at by the market for a solid decade because of their big bet on CUDA. That's the software that unlocks all this power. Where they are today, it's a direct result of that incredible resilience. This has to be some of the wildest advice you'll ever hear from a CEO. Jensen Huang actually wishes students pain and suffering. Why? Because he says character isn't built when things are easy. It's forged when you're going through tough times. And he argues that in this new era of AI, resilience, well, that's the most important skill you can possibly have.
Okay, so we've got the tech, we've got the mindset. Now let's look at how this all comes together to remake our world. Because the future isn't some far-off thing that's coming for us. It is actively being built right now.
So why does any of this even matter? What's the big picture? It matters because the world's biggest, toughest problems, think climate change, discovering new life-saving drugs, finding sustainable energy, you can't solve those problems by just predicting the next word. No way. They require deep, powerful, logical reasoning. And this isn't just going to stay in the digital world. We're now entering the era of physical AI. The big prediction is that within the next decade, pretty much everything that moves, we're talking cars, trucks, factory robots, even humanoid robots, will be powered by these reasoning models that can think before they act. You know, this has huge geopolitical consequences too. We're starting to see the rise of what's called sovereign AI, and the idea is pretty simple. Intelligence is now a strategic national resource. Every country is going to want and need to manufacture its own intelligence using its own data, reflecting its own culture. And get this, it's not just about being faster. It's about being sustainable. Using accelerated computing isn't just a choice for better performance. You could argue it's a moral imperative. I mean, look at these numbers. You get 100 times the performance while using a tenth of the energy. That is how we're going to power this future without, burning up the planet in the process.
So all of this brings us to the final and most important point. The tools are here. The engine is built. This new era of computing, the era of reasoning, has officially begun. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it? What impossible problem are you going to solve?
Because when you're in the middle of a revolution like this, there is no safe path. The only security you have is speed. The opportunity is right here, right now. So the final piece of advice? Run. Don't walk.